स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतङ्गमय। Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have been studying Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, where the Master has given number of practical instructions on spirituality. In the last class, we have discussed the topic 3 ways for transformation. In the last 2 classes, we have dealt with the topics, the importance of satsang and sat pravachana, that is holy company, and secondly, hearing good teaching of the spiritual masters. Today, I am taking the third topic under the same headline, 3 ways for transformation, and that is Sarveshwara Chinta. So these 3, Satsang, Sat Pravachana, Sat Sarveshwara Chinta, are very important in our daily spiritual life for getting success in spiritual goal. Sarveshwara Chinta, that is thinking of the Lord of the universe. Lord of the universe. God is the Lord of the universe. Everyone looks upon God as the protector of the whole universe. So it is very important to think of the Lord of the universe. That creates a very good impression on the mind, which help us to concentrate and meditate. Sri Ramakrishna said in the Gospel, the worldly minded people, they practice, no doubt, devotions, japa, and austerity only by fits and starts. But those who know nothing else but God repeat His name with every breath. Some always repeat mentally, Om Rama. Even the followers of the path of knowledge repeat Soham, Soham, I am He, I am He. He means Brahman. I am that Brahman. There are others whose tongues are always moving, repeating the name of God. One should remember and think of God constantly. That's a very important message. instruction Sri Ramakrishna has given us in the Gospel. It is a very important discipline. In another place Sri Ramakrishna says, man becomes pure by repeating the name of God. Therefore, one should practice the chanting of God's name. I said to Jaddu Malik's mother, Sri Ramakrishna said, in the hour of death, you will think only of worldly things, of family, children, executing the will, and so forth. The thought of God will not come to your mind. The way to remember God in the hour of death is to practice now the repetitions of His name and thinking of His glories, chanting of His glories. If one keeps up the practice, then in the hour of death, one will repeat the name of God. Sri Ramakrishna said in another place, the importance of thinking of God. All sins vanish if one only remembers God. His name breaks the fetters of death. Only one condition is very important in spiritual life, and that is, you must be really sincere to the core. Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Ananya chetaha saratam yomam smarati nityashaha tasyaham sulabhapartha nityuktasya yoginaha. Sri Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita an assurance. I am easily attainable by that ever steadfast yogi who constantly remembers me daily, not thinking of another, O Partha. In another place, Sri Krishna says in the Gita, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara. Yudhyacha. The meaning is, all the time remember me and do your duty. With respect to Arjun, the immediate duty was to fight in the battlefield. Nevertheless, thinking of God must be going on mentally, constantly. So we should not give any excuse for thinking of God. Oh, my mind was engaged in so many things, etc., etc. Amidst all the activities, involvement, one should really think of God in the mind. Constantly remembering the Lord throughout the life is the surest way of attaining Him. He who remembers the Lord by fits and starts, who remembers Him for 6 months and then leaves the practice, and again remembers Him for 6 months and so on, cannot attain Him. Remembrance of the Lord at all times is known as smarana. It is unbroken memory of the name and form of the Lord. The mind doesn't think of any object of the world. It is ever engrossed in the thought of the glorious Lord alone. The mind meditates on what is heard about the glories of the Lord and His virtues and names, and forgets even the body. It is contented in the remembrance of God. Just as Dhruva and Prahlada did. Even japa is only remembrance of God and comes under the category of bhakti. Remembrance also includes listening to the stories pertaining to the Lord, talking of Him, teaching others about Him, and meditating on His attributes constantly. All these come under the category of smarana. There is no particular time for practicing remembrance of God. He is to be remembered at all times without any break, as long as one has one's consciousness intact. Right from his getting up from sleep in the morning until he is completely overpowered by sleep at night, a person needs to remember God. He has no other duty in this world except the remembrance of God. The remembrance of God alone can destroy all worldly impressions. The remembrance of God alone can turn the mind away from sense objects. Generally, the mind runs outside. But the remembrance of God makes it introvert and doesn't allow it to run to particular objects of the world. The remembrance of God is a very difficult method of sadhana. It is not possible to remember Him at all times continuously. The mind deceives the person. He may think that he is meditating on God, but actually he will only be thinking about some object of the world or something to do with name and fame. The remembrance is equal to concentration or meditation. All the qualities which a Rajayogi prescribes for the practice of meditation should be acquired by a bhakta, devotee, who wishes to practice smarana bhakti. Smarana is swimming against the forceful current of the river of Maya. Smarana leads to exclusive meditation on God as is practiced in Raja Yoga. The company of sincere devotees is an auxiliary to the remembrance of God. The service of Mahatmas and saints is yet another necessity. The mind cannot but remember divine things when it is in the company of divine people. Therefore, one should have satsang and always live with a saint or a holy association. He should not be perturbed by the censure or ridicule of the world. He should rely upon God and rest assured that He will help him in all troubles and grant final emancipation. The remembrance of the Lord has given liberation even to those who thought of Him through hatred, just as a worm, through its hatred and fear of the wasp, meditates on it and attains the state of the wasp. Haters of the Lord, like Kamsa and Shishupala, attain liberation through Vaira Bhakti. In that process they are constantly thinking of God. So, the point is, constant remembrance is the fruit of all the methods of sadhana. This is the most potent method and the most difficult also. A miser does not forget his wealth even while he is engaged in other duties. A lustful person doesn't forget his beloved at any time. A cow does not forget its calf even while it grazes. Even so, a worldly man, though he may be engaged in the duties of life, should practice the remembrance of God. Prahlada practiced the remembrance of God. He never forgot God at any time. He was tortured by his cruel father, Hiranyakashipu, in all possible manners. But the devoted Prahlad crossed all these troubles and attained the supreme grace of the Lord. Prahlad was lost in the consciousness of the Lord. Such should be the ardent aspiration of all the devotees. The 7th skanda of the Bhagavad gives a beautiful description of how Prahlad practiced bhakti even amidst difficult and trying conditions. Namasmaran is a spiritual exercise which is simple, sustaining, and universally acceptable. The name by which each person invokes the one God may be in any language. It may posit any type of relationship with God, such as son, servant, subject, companion, and so on. It may enshrine any one or more of the infinite attributes and achievements of God. In every case, the name is the sign and signal, the casket that enshrines the beauty and the benevolence of the Almighty, the glory and the grace of providence, the majesty and mystery of God. When it is recited or remembered with each breath, it provides divine oxygen to strengthen and sanctify our lives. Nowadays people laugh at the idea of Namasmaran and Nam Sankirtan. What is in a name? To them it is just an assortment of words and sounds. We find modern times people have peculiar names. Piggy, Dolly. Words have no significance, just a fun. Some person is named as baby, but names have got tremendous significance. That's how all the spiritual scriptures emphasize on the importance of name. Somehow we must remember God. That's why we keep God's name for the children. But nowadays that idea is going away. They think it is old-fashioned. In the modern times, we should not have such superstition. So people think it's a superstition to keep God's name. Anyway, it only shows how much people are engrossed in the worldly affairs. It takes time for them to realize the divine glory. Words have tremendous power. They can arouse emotions and passions, and they can calm them as well. They can direct, infuriate, they can inspire, they bring up reserves of strength and wisdom. Therefore, have faith in the name and repeat it whenever you get a chance or an opportunity. There is no cause to feel that only some divine names are powerful or that some are more powerful than others. Nothing like that. All God's names are equally powerful because all the names are His own names. That's why we say in the Purusha Sukta, Sahasra Shirisha Purushaha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat, like that. God has 1,000 heads, 1,000 foot, 1,000 eyes, etc. Meaning infinite. Consequently, everyone is most likely to like that divine name which appeals to him most. Some people like Mother Kali, some people like Durga, some people like Ganesha, some people like Shiva. It depends upon one's temperament and samskaras. But all gods are the embodiment of purity and perfection. They refer to the same God. God has infinite names. So, one can have any form of God before his mind's eye for Namasmaran or Bhajan. We have it on the authority of the Shastras that in this Kali Yuga, in this modern age, one can attain moksha or liberation from bondage of mortal and miserable existence by singing the name of the Lord. Namasmaran is the only solution to life's problems in this age. In the Krita Yuga, it was dhyana, meditation. In the Treta Yuga, it was yajna, fire sacrifice. In the Dwapar Yuga, it was archana or worship. in this Kali Yuga, due to the predominance of Rajasic activity in man, it is not possible to engage oneself in meditation, yajna or worship. So, Namasmaran is declared the best means to cross the ocean of delusion. Other sadhanas like dhyana, yajna and worship would be fruitful in this age only when the divine name and its sweetness of love also merge in them. They give an example. For the bird in mid-ocean flying over the dark, deep waters, the only resting place is the mast of the ship sailing across. So too, the Lord is the only refuge for man. However far the bird may fly, it knows where it can rest. That knowledge gives it confidence. It has the memory of the mast steady in its mind. Its form is fixed in its eye. The name of the Lord is the mast for you. Remember it ever. Another special merit of Namasmaran, other sadhanas like yoga and tapas may awaken siddhis or occult powers in the sadhaka, who, blinded by the pride on that account, is likely to forsake the Lord and even let go the victory and spiritual strength won by that sadhana. No such dangers beset the path of Namasmaran, which develops prema or love in the devotee. Through prema, shanti is achieved. Once shanti or peace of mind is achieved, all other benefits are attained automatically. This extraordinary prema is far superior to the extraordinary power of yoga and tapas. Life is a pilgrimage where man drags his feet along the rough and thorny road. With the name of the Lord on his lips, he will have no thirst. With the form of God in his heart, he will feel no exhaustion. The company of the holy will inspire him to travel in hope and in faith. The awareness that God is within every one of us, that he is ever near and never long in coming, will lend strength to his limbs and courage to his eyes. Recite the name with love and have the form fixed in the mind's eye. It's a lamp shedding light in the recess of your heart. It will drive away the inner darkness as well as the outer. Peace within and love without. That is the sign of the person engrossed in perpetual Namasmaran. The name of the Lord is like the effulgence of the rising sun. It dispels the darkness of delusion. It is as luminous, as universal and as divine. Remember the power of that name, which when repeated by Prahlad, overpowered the hearts of the asuras who tortured him. The children of the asuras repeated the name along with Prahlad, and led by him, they began to sing and dance with joy, arming themselves with the name to defend their leader. The name of the Lord that could transform the asuric character and purity into a nectar of love is verily the key to the heaven of peace for all and for the whole world. So what does Namasmarana do for us? It is Taranopaya, the easiest means of crossing the sea of samsara or delusion, of attachment and bondage. The name removes the veil of Maya that now hides the Shakti from the Vyakti, the universal from the individual. When this veil fades out, man discovers the divine in himself. He beholds the universe as himself. Man has infinite power and infinite potentiality, for he is a wave, one with the ocean of infinity. That is Satchidananda. When you are depressed by what appears to be loss or calamity, engage yourselves in Namasmaran. That will give you consolation, courage, and the true perspective of the event or situation. The divine name is so valuable and an instrument to win His grace and to realize His presence, that when it is repeated from the depth of your heart, the lamp of the divine name, when it is lit, will illumine the whole household. No wonder that Tulsidas once declared, "Do you require the light inside the home as well as outside? Then place the lamp on your doorstep. So too, do you desire to spread the illumination of peace inside yourself as well as outside? Then place the name of the Lord on the tongue, which is the doorstep of your personality." This lamp on the tongue will not flicker or fade or be put out by any storm. It will confirm Shanti on you as well as on all who draw near, in fact the entire world. Namasmaran can well be called a yoga like bhakti, jnana or karma. So, Namasmaran can be called as Chitta Shuddhi Yoga, or the path of consciousness cleaning. Charge every second of time with the divine current that emanates from the name. Practice at all times under all circumstances with love and devotion the remembrance of the name of the Lord. That name is a thunderbolt which will pulverize mountains of sin. It is an unfailing cure for the dreaded disease of delusion. It will lead you to release from the bondage of birth and death and will give you everlasting bliss. If there is anything sweeter than all things sweet to the senses, more auspicious than holy objects, it is the name of the Lord, because it is one with and inseparable from the Lord Himself, who is Satchidananda Swarupa. The Lord and His name are one. In fact, the total sweetness of the name may not be found in the form. When the name of the flower rose is mentioned, its tender petals, its deep color, and its fragrance spring to memory. Its thorns and the troubles one takes to pluck the flower are forgotten. Take another example. As soon as the name mango is mentioned, one is reminded of its juicy pulp, its incomparable sweetness and flavor. Instead, if an actual mango is placed in our hands, the doubt first arises in our mind whether it is sweet or sour. Then again one becomes aware of its skin, fiber, particular quality, etc. When the name alone is mentioned, these things do not bother us. Only its sweetness comes to mind. Similarly, in the case of the divine form, there is a chance of awe mixed with respect and even fear eclipsing our love, which sweetens the remembrance of God. It's only the sweetness in the divine name that makes our life worthwhile. It also helps us to attain the goal of life. It's only by always having the name on the tongue and in the mind that we conquer the influence of Maya or the delusion of the world. All the dualities of life, namely truth and untruth, right and wrong, are but the steps of the dance that Maya does before us. Therefore, Maya is called a Nartaki, that is, a dancer who entices the mind. To escape from being deluded and enticed by her, you must make recourse to the opposite of Nartaki. What is the opposite of Nartaki? Kirtan. Nartaki, Kirtan. By means of Kirtan, it is possible to win the grace of Madhava and escape the delusion of Maya. The sweetness of Namasmaran is best exemplified by Narad, Hanuman, Ambarish, Prahlad, Suradas, Tyagraj, Meera, Tukaram, Tulsidas, so many others who tasted and drank the nectar of the name, Namamrita, and liberated themselves. Namasmarana was a boat by which they happily travelled across the sea of samsara, from the world of matter to the realm of the spirit, that is divinity. How does God's name acquire the power to drive away all the evil tendencies in the devotee's mind and the wicked passions in his heart? That's a very relevant question. As I already mentioned, words have power. Even ordinary words have tremendous power. Suppose we are taking delicious food, but suddenly someone mentions a foul word. The word instantly causes a revulsion in our mind and we lose taste for the food. We may even get nausea and vomit. Or again, suppose people are sitting for a cultural program and someone suddenly shouts, "Fire, fire, fire," just in fun. What will be the reaction? On hearing the word, people will jump up and run helter-skelter. There will be stampede. Another example. You are very thirsty and someone says, "I will cut a lemon and prepare sweet sharbat for you." Your mouth begins to water. All this shows the reaction in our mental lake through hearing ordinary words and sounds. How much more profound should be the effect on our mind, nature and behavior when sacred names of God are heard or sung with love. That singing raises the mind to higher planes of peace and purity. The divine name is packed with infinite potential to purify, sublimate, and transform the mind and heart. God is Shabda Brahma Swarupa. He is endowed with eightfold treasures. Aishwarya Sampanna, Ashtaishwarya Sampanna. The first treasure aspect of God is the sound form, Shabda. This whole universe is born out of sound. That is from Nada and is known also as Shabda Brahma. With Shabda only is the universe sustained. The transformation it goes through is the power of sound only. That's why Sushabda, that is good and auspicious sound, like the glorious names of God, produces Sumanas, or purified mind. With the aid of the divine name, we can slowly and steadily purify our senses. As we progress in this Namasmaran or Nam Sankirtan path, the innate Ananda, which is our nature, flows uninhibited and we begin to experience and enjoy continuous unalloyed peace and bliss. The Ashtaishwarya of the Lord, Shabda, Charachara, Jyoti, Vangmaya, Nityananda, Paratpara, Maya and Shri. These are the Ashtaishwarya of the Lord. The name gains power through its association with God. Here is an example. When a mice enters our house, we bring a cat to kill it or set a trap to catch it. But the mice, when visualized as the Vahana or vehicle of Lord Ganesha, becomes worthy of worship. Again, when we see a serpent, all possible efforts are made to kill it. But the serpent round the neck of Ishwar is honored and worshipped. A small boulder lying on the street is not taken notice by anyone. But when it is chiseled into an idol of God, it is installed in a temple and worshipped by all. This is the power of samparka, or contact with the divine, which carries with it unthought of power. That's how divine names acquire power to lead a person on the spiritual path. There are so many examples. Remember how Sita braved the taunts, insults and tortures of the Rakshasis in Lanka. What was it that gave her the stamina? It was Ram Nam and nothing else. Of Hanuman it is said, Rom Romamu Ramanamame. Every single hair recited Rama. His tail was a formidable weapon, for it was filled with the might of the name. He is also called Sundara, or the charming one, the beautiful one, because he had Rama installed in his heart, and the splendor and beauty of Rama was reflected in Hanuman's face. This made him charming to look into. He was also a sweet companion because he spoke of only Rama and sang only Rama's glory. Draupadi, the queen of the Pandavas, whose story is one long series of humiliations and calamities, was rescued from dishonor and distress time after time. But she was ardent devotee of Lord Krishna. All the time she would be remembering Krishna in her heart. Rukmini and Satyabhama were curious to know the nature of the devotion that could draw such bountiful grace of the Lord Krishna on her in such a continuous stream. So one day Lord Krishna took both Rukmini and Satyabhama to Draupadi when she was drying her hair after a bath. And Lord Krishna asked his queens to comb Draupadi's hair, which had got into tangle. When they did so, they heard from the tip of each hair the sound of Nam Japa, Krishna, 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 Krishna. The name of the Lord had impregnated each single hair of her head. That was the extent of her devotion to the Lord. Jyagaraj, a great saint, started Nam Japa of Sri Ramchandra in his 20th year. He recited Ram Nam 96 crores of times, and it took 21 years and 15 days for the vow to fructify. As a result, he had the darshan of Sri Ramchandra. The letters of the Nama had taken shape, he says about this experience. Meera, another great saint, drank the cup of poison with the name of Lord Krishna on her tongue, and it turned into nectar. Namasmaran saved Prahlad from the agony of torture. The elephants brought to crush him turned back when they saw the boy. Fire could not burn him. The rocks on which he was thrown from great heights could not bruise him. No poison could affect him. So that is the glory of the great Namasmaran. It's a tremendous, easy, wonderful spiritual practice. Only we should be willing to do that. We should be willing to live a spiritual life. We should be willing to get rid of from these clutches of the world. We should be willing to attain spiritual goal. Then Namasmaran is one of the best methods to follow. Let us stop here and continue same topic in the next class. So Sarveshwara Chinta, thinking of the Lord of the universe, that is most important discipline. It is discipline because the natural tendency of the mind is to run after the things, but we must be watchful and try to fix the mind again and again on the divine name. In Raj Yoga it is called Pratyahara. Whenever the mind goes out, bring it back. Don't grumble simply. Oh, my mind is like this, my mind like... There is no end for that. All this grumbling the mind creates because of our own actions done previously. So instead of grumbling, use that time for repeating God's name. Then everything becomes all right. Do you have any questions to ask? No questions. Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, page 964. Shashi said, Kali said to the master, Kali means Vedanta, what's the good of having joy? The bills are joyous. Savages are always singing and dancing in a frenzy of delight. Then Rakal said, Master replied to Kali. Sri Ramakrishna replied to Vedanta. What do you mean? Can the bliss of Brahman be the same as worldly pleasure? Ordinary men are satisfied with worldly pleasure. One cannot enjoy the bliss of Brahman unless one completely rids oneself of attachment to worldly things. There is the joy of money and sense experience, and there is the bliss of God realization. Can the two ever be the same? The rishis enjoyed the bliss of Brahman. You see, Yam said, Kali nowadays meditates on Buddha. That's why he speaks of a state beyond bliss. Rakal said, yes, Kali told the master about Buddha. Sri Ramakrishna said to him, Buddha is an incarnation of God. How can you compare him to anybody else? As he is great, so too is his teaching great. Kali said to him, everything indeed is the manifestation of God's power, both worldly pleasure and the bliss of God are the manifestation of that power. Yam said, what did the master say to that? Rakal replied, he said, how can that be? He is the power to beget a child. He is the power to beget a child, the same as the power through which one realizes God. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting in this room on the second floor. Narendra, Rakal, Shashi, Surendra, M, Bhavanath and other devotees were present. Dr. Mahendra Sarkar and Dr. Rajendra Datta were also there to examine him. His condition was growing worse. The house rent was between 60 and 65 rupees. Surendra bore most of the expenses and had rented the house in his name. The other household devotees contributed financial help according to their power. A cook and a maid had been engaged to look after the members of the household. Master said to Dr. Sarkar and the others, the expenses are mounting. Dr. Sarkar said, pointing to the devotees, but they are ready to bear them. They do not hesitate to spend money. To Sri Ramakrishna, Dr. Sarkar said, now you see Gold is necessary. Master said to Narendra, why don't you answer? Narendra remained silent. Dr. Sarkar resumed the conversation. Dr. Sarkar said, gold is necessary and also woman. Rajendra said, yes, his, that is meaning Sri Ramakrishna, his wife has been cooking his meals. Dr. Sarkar said to the master, do you see? Master said smilingly, yes, but very troublesome. Dr. Sarkar said, if there were no troubles, then all would become Paramahamsas. Master said, if a woman touches me, I fall ill. That part of my body aches as if stung by a horned fish. Dr. Sarkar said, I believe that. My breathing stops. But there is no harm in spending money to lead a spiritual life in the world. If one spends it, for instance, in the worship of God and the service of holy men and devotees. A man forgets God if he is entangled in the world of Maya through a woman. It is the mother of the universe who has assumed the form of Maya, the form of woman. One who knows this rightly doesn't feel like leading the life of Maya in this world. But he who truly realizes that all women are manifestations of the Divine Mother may lead a spiritual life in the world. Without realizing God, one cannot truly know what a woman is. Sri Ramakrishna had felt a slight improvement as a result of the homeopathic treatment. Rajendra said to the master, after getting rid of this illness, you must begin to practice medicine as a homeopath. Otherwise, what is the use of this human life? All laugh. Narendra said, nothing like leather. All laugh. To a cobbler, nothing in this world is as important as leather. A few minutes later, the physicians took their leave. Sri Ramakrishna and Yam were engaged in conversation. The master was telling Yam how he felt about woman. Master said to Yam, they say I can't get along without woman and gold. They don't understand the state of my mind. If I touch a woman, my hand becomes numb. It aches. If in a friendly spirit I approach a woman and begin to talk to her, I feel as if a barrier had been placed between us. It is impossible for me to cross that barrier. If a woman enters my room and I am alone, at once I become like a child and regard her as my mother. As M listened to these words, he became speechless with wonder at Sri Ramakrishna's exalted state of mind. Bhavanath and Narendra were sitting at a distance, talking together. Bhavanath had married and was trying to find a job, so he could not visit Sri Ramakrishna frequently at Kasipur. He had said to Yam, I understand that Vidyasagar wants to start a new school. I have to earn my livelihood. Will it be possible for me to secure a job in that school? The master was much worried about Bhavanath being entangled in worldly life. Bhavanath was 23 or 24 years old. Master said to Narendra, give me a lot of courage. Narendra and Bhavanath smiled. Sri Ramakrishna said to Bhavanath, by signs, be a great hero. Don't forget yourself when you see her weeping behind her veil. Oh, women cry so much, even when they blow their noses. Narendra, Bhavanath and Yam laugh. Keep your mind firm on God. He who is a hero lives with a woman but does not indulge in physical pleasure. Talk to your wife only about God. A few minutes later, Sri Ramakrishna said to Bhavanath by a sign, take your meal here today. Let us stop here and continue the class next Tuesday. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. The old name streamed down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself, O self, drowned deep in the waves of his bliss, tasting his nectar at every step, bathing in his name that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass, be patient and forbearing like a tree, take no honor to thyself, give honor to all, chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy, consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Oh, how I long for the day when an instant's separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, and my heart burns with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou who stillest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers, may all realize what is good, may all be actuated by noble thoughts, may all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy, may all be free from disease, may all realize what is good, may none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous, may the virtuous attain tranquility, may the tranquil be free from bonds, may the freed make others free. May good betide all people, may the sovereign righteously rule the earth, may all beings ever attain what is good, may the worlds be prosperous and happy, may the clouds pour rain in time, may the earth be blessed with crops, may all countries be freed from calamity, may holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied, for he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.